everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin, and today I am testing out a new crochet technique I've never tried before, so I figured I'd kind of take you along with me for the process. But trying Mosaic Crochet has been on my kind of dream craft list for a while, mostly because I've seen so many fun spooky patterns that you can do with Mosaic Crochet. So I figured I'd take some time today and maybe tomorrow to do some practice and maybe try out a pattern that I purchased from Etsy that I've been really wanting to make. So my first step is I'm actually going to do a practice piece first. I'm planning on watching a couple of Mosaic Crochet tutorials on YouTube and then switching over to the pattern to make my final piece. I think my goal for today is going to be to make a wall hanging. I have some like plain corner to corner or fun stitch wall hangings in my vendor shop over the summer when I do craft fairs and things. So I think some of the Mosaic Crochet designs would be a fun thing to add to that collection. I will link all the video tutorials and patterns that I use below. I'm starting today with just some yarn that's in my stash. If you watch my mosaic knitting video, you'll probably recognize this because this is the color that I didn't use in that video, but I did use the cream in there. I believe these are both Bernat Softy cotton yarn or something like that, but I no longer have the labels, so I'm not sure. The ultimate goal is to do one of the skeleton patterns from Sixel Designs on Etsy. I've followed her on Instagram for a while now, and I love all of her very cool, very spooky, unique mosaic crochet patterns. But I think we're just going to start with a tutorial and a practice piece, so let's get started. Here's what my crochet looks like after I finish the tutorial video. I watched a Yarn Inspirations tutorial for this one. Again, I'll make sure I link it in the description box. And the video for this also linked to a washcloth pattern. So the video did a really nice job of like talking about what the pattern looks like versus like how to do the actual stitches, which was really, really nice. I did notice that the pattern I picked for my swatch happens to be the same, has a stitch count that works with the skull pattern that I want to do. So I think instead of ripping all this out and starting over, I'm just going to leave this as the bottom border and start doing the skull pattern working up from here. The skull pattern I'm using is from, I forget what the shop name. The name on Etsy is Sixel Home. And I purchased the Catacombs pack of patterns, which includes all of her skull themed mosaic designs. But the one that I'm using is the Mini Skulls crochet pattern. And I picked that one because she also has a video on her channel showing how to use the mini skulls with a, I believe it's a wrist warmer pattern. So I figured I should start with one that has a video tutorial since I learned best from video tutorials. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to show as many close-ups of the mosaic pattern for the Sixel Designs one because you should purchase her pattern or at least watch her video online. But again, I'll have all that linked below. I'm just not going to like show you step by step how to do it, if that makes sense. I do get that comment a lot on some of my like vlog style crochet and knit videos where people will say like, you didn't show us how to do it. And If I'm not showing you how to do it, it's because that pattern is owned by somebody else. The Yarn Inspirations one, I did a closer up video because I know that this specific Mosaic Crochet motif is not exclusive to Yarn Inspirations. Like, I've seen it in other patterns before, and also theirs is a free pattern and they're a bigger yarn company. But for Sixel Design, since she is an independent designer, you should purchase her pattern or watch her video if you want to learn exactly how to do the motifs that I'm going to be doing in this video. So, long explanation, but if you ever see me not showing exactly how to do something, that's probably why. It means that it belongs to another creator. But I'm going to continue my Mosaic Crochet design and give you some clips along the way. I have made it through one repeat of, I should have turned my phone off first, of the skull pattern. I think they turned out super cute, but as you might notice, there's a bunch of ends sticking out of the skull section. And that's because I realized that there are two kind of different styles of Mosaic Crochet, and the one I used at the bottom is different than the skull pattern. So the Mosaic Crochet at the bottom, each section is kind of worked in, or each row has a pair. So you're switching colors all on the same side, which means that you can just carry the yarn up one side and not have to weave in any ends or cut any ends. But the other style switches colors every single row, which means that for every row you have to either work it in the round or cut the yarn at the ends, which is why I have all of these lovely tails hanging off of the edge. So I think for the finished piece, I'll probably add like a border or something so that I can hide all of those ends and not worry about having to weave them in. But I love these little skulls. I think they're so cute. I think my plan to finish the piece is to do 2 more sections of skulls and then 1 more section of this like geometric pattern at the bottom. But I'll kind of gauge it as I go to see how long it's going to be, and then add the border at the end. I think I am going to have to call it quits for tonight because I have an event to go to. So next clip you see will probably be tomorrow morning. Alright, we are all done with the wall hanging. That actually I think looks better on camera than it does in person. Bring it in a little bit closer so you can see some of those stitches. I ended up doing a couple rows of linen stitch for the border, and then I just single crocheted to this dowel rod that I had and made a chain to hang it by. The back kind of just looks like funky stripes. I did weave in all of my ends because I realized there were too many ends to crochet over. It would have been like really, really thick just in the skull section. But I think this turned out really, really cool. I would definitely make one of these again, and I plan on purchasing more patterns from Sixel Designs because I absolutely loved how this turned out. I do know, I think she just announced on Instagram that she's coming out with a book for Mosaic Crochet, so I will definitely be on the lookout for that as well. A couple things that I think I would change if I was doing this again. I would probably use a smaller hook for the yarn size that I used, just because if you get like really up close, you can kind of see the colors like behind the color that you're supposed to see, if that sentence made sense. But actually from a distance, I think it looks really good, so it probably doesn't actually matter. But I think I would probably use a smaller needle size just to get a tighter looking design. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope you had fun watching me try out this process. Again, I'm going to have everything linked below for the patterns that I used so that you can make the same thing if you would like. And again, please make sure that you check out those pattern designers so that they get credit for their work, because obviously it turned out really, really cool. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in following me on other forms of social media, that information will also be in the description box below. And if you liked watching, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified of all of my future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!